Okay, so we'd like to welcome you all to Fabric Chicks Facebook Live at noon on Mondays. We have Barb Persing. How do you say that? I always think
Persing.
Persing. Okay,
Yep.
Persing. I always think there's an H there, but then when I look at it, there's not.
Right.
Okay, so let's see. So you know how we always do, ladies, when we first join on, if you want to just say where you're from, we always like roll call. But we have Barb Persing here from Fredericksburg, Pennsylvania, right?
Frederick, Pennsylvania. No Berg. Frederick, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Yep. I'm right outside of Philadelphia.
Perfect. And how's the weather out there?
Sunny but cold today.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
As long as the sun's out, I'm good.
I know. Me too. I know.
Yep.
We had a beautiful Thanksgiving. I don't know what you guys had, but we had like 53, temperatures were 54, 55. It was beautiful.
Yes.
But now it's back into the 40s. So.
Oh, no, we've been at like 65 all week. It's been fabulous.
Nice. Yeah. That's really nice. And you just got back from being on the road.
Yes, we went to Puyallup, Washington, which is a 13-hour drive each way for us. Except for us, I mean me. And then my parents who were in their 80s, they helped me out.
Nice.
Yeah. But it was hard. This year's been the first time that I've kind of been doing the shows by myself or taking my son who's a senior out of school so that he can help me. But he's like, Mom, I've missed 80 classes so far this year. I can't afford to miss any more. I'm like,
it's a lot.
High school totally overrated.
How was the show? Was it well attended?
It was pretty well attended, not as well as in the past years, but nothing is as good as before. Right. I think we just have to build it back up again and get everybody comfortable with being out of their houses and socializing again.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, hang on one second. Hi, Carolyn. Hi, Peggy. Hi, Kathleen. Hi, Sandy and Jane and Phyllis and Mary and Dorothy. I think it looks like Sandy is the furthest one away in Illinois. Kentucky might be further, but it might be closer to you. I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Geographically, I don't know.
Kentucky for me.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So, ladies, if you have any questions for Barb, just type them in and I'll ask them to her. So a gathering was the first quilt that I saw of yours, and that has been my bestseller, hands down, for the past. I've had a shop for 15 years, and that has been my best-selling pattern and kit. So I'm excited to see what you're working on and what kind of inspires you and what the girls have to look forward to.
Well, everybody loved a gathering. It was so successful for me as well. And when I did that quilt, I thought people are going to think I'm crazy. She's a crazy bird lady now. Like, what happened? Because I did flowers, and that was a big seller for us when we did Full Bloom. But I personally love birds. And I'm a coastal person. I'm pretty close to the coast. I grew up in South Jersey. So right now, if you look over behind my shoulder a little bit, you'll see some pelicans. And I'm kind of playing around with some shapes, some scale. It takes me a while to get those two things worked out. And then I'll really delve into what I'm going to use for fabrics. So I might pull from what I have already and from my current lines just to start to work on those things.
Right.
And then the layout will come last. And because I don't really like to feel like a repeat, I don't like to repeat myself. I'll just start to keep that in the back of my mind. How do I want to set these so that it looks fresh, it looks original, and so they're the things that I'm working on. And I really like the drawing part of it and getting my shapes down. And then I'll start to work with a fabric line. When I was doing my lines with Island Batik, I was always in a very tight deadline because I would get the fabric line and then I would kind of have to produce the piece. And after gathering, the next one I did was Bliss with the flowers.
Mm-hmm.
And that really has done pretty well also. And it was fun because it was a takeoff on flowers, and that it was a really kind of a modern look and a simple look. So now I think I'm ready to go back and work with some birds and some silhouettes and see where it goes. I
Mm-hmm.
don't design with computer programs. I really am kind of almost like cut and paste and let it organically develop. So that's
Right.
been fun for me. That's how I like to do it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Perfect. Okay, and anything else you think the ladies might be interested in the design process itself? Because you and your sister owned a fabric store, didn't you, at one point?
Mary owned the fabric store. She did own a
Okay.
fabric store, but once we kind of started doing the pattern company, after a while, she closed the store because we were so busy with the pattern company.
Right. Well,
Yep.
and you know how it is. Everybody always thinks that we have so much fun as designers and shop owners because we
Yep.
just get to sew and play and goof off all day. But
Right.
really, when you're working for a fabric company, there's a lot of pressure and deadlines
There
and
are. There
mm-hmm.
are. And it's also that pressure to produce and to come up with something that, like, if you just finished something that you loved as a designer and you felt like the gathering, like, holy cow, hit it out of the park,
Yeah.
it's really hard to come up with that next thing, you
Right.
know.
Right.
The two designs that I did just before a gathering, and I think you're going to be having them in the shop, and that was a different applique technique. And I like it when I can work with different techniques because different techniques lend themselves to different types of designs.
Mm-hmm.
So for all the people who saw the gathering, that was a fusible, that was a blanket stitch, like the bird you
Right.
see behind me, that kind of a look. But when
Mm-hmm.
I did Solstice, which was my winter
Which,
design,
which is absolutely stunning. That was before
yeah.
I found you, though. But I do have some patterns because I
So
think a
I'll
lot
show
of
you
people would be
guys.
interested in it.
Yeah, so I'll show you. I just quickly put it on the wall, so I'll do my best by giving you a look at this.
Okay. Kathleen, I agree. It's very cool that she says it's very cool that you don't use computers to generate your designs.
Oh, yeah. Well,
And,
thank you, because that definitely is it kind of goes against how the industry wants you to work. They want you to crank something out. So this is
right.
Solstice, and these are the all the blocks.
I love that one.
The blocks with the chairs was put in really for my mom because those chairs are actually in my backyard. The logs was done with a print, a photo that was taken by my nephew. And if you get close to it, you can see it is actually raw edge applique. And
Okay. Yeah.
I love this technique because anyone can do it. Look at this bird. He's fun, but he's really just two pieces. The same with the cardinal.
Well, and your quilting is amazing. You really did do a lot of custom quilting on that one.
Yeah, I mean, I quilted it to bring out the textures.
Yes.
But the great thing about this is you can do it so much more loosely
Mm-hmm.
because the applique is there, the images are there. So when you do the quilting, that's really about texture. So
Right.
depending on how much you want to commit to that quilt, that's your choice. And you don't have to go that deep in order for this to look the way that it looks.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best part about it. Let me see if I can give you a far away shot.
And when you talk about raw edge applique, for those who aren't familiar with that, can you just give them a brief description of that?
Sure. So raw edge applique means that I didn't fuse the pieces. Okay. And for anybody who's curious about the technique, you can find a little video on YouTube, and it's called Full Bloom Full Bloom Month 1. Okay. So all of the pieces are glued in place. And
With
the
a glue
reason we
stick?
use the glue, it's glued, and they're glued around the edges. The complete edge of the applique piece is glued down. so that the center of it is loose. And what that does is that allows for you to get texture when you're quilting. It also allows you to layer many layers of fabric without having the stiffness of the fusible.
Okay. And what's your favorite glue?
The only type of glue I ever used for this technique is called Roxanne's Glue Based It.
Okay. I love that too.
Yeah. It's water soluble. It's like an Elmer's glue. It's safe. It's really good.
So you do have a YouTube channel.
There's barbperSing.com. I have some videos up.
But
when we first launched this technique, 4th and 6th Designs put up the videos for Full Bloom, and we show you from beginning to end. So they can find Full Bloom under that. And if they go to barbperSing.com, they'll see some of my quilting videos, my blanket stitch video, little things like that. They can find me on Instagram. My highlights have little videos, just like little techniques to help them. So if they've never done blanket stitch before, how to set up their machine. And there are videos out there of me doing the edge coloring on my long arm.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah. That sounds like they could stay busy the whole month of December just learning new techniques.
Just learning new techniques. So let me show you the orchard. I'll show you a little bit of that.
Okay.
This is the top block. As you can see was the apple.
Uh-huh.
And again, this is raw edge. So the reason that these leaves have so much texture is because they're not fused. The glue went around the outside, and now you can see how I stitched it. So it's a straight stitch that you're using. It's not a zigzag. It's not a satin stitch. This is the block of the pears.
Well, and it seems like raw edge with just a straight stitch would go so much faster than that buttonhole stitch.
It is so much faster, and the thing about it is that it's so much fun. Like I've taught this to beginners, and let me tell you, when I say the messier the better, I mean it. The technique itself is really a lot of fun, and anyone can do it. And the reason that these quilts I think were so successful is because you're working on a block at a time. So you're doing your applique work on your sewing machine, but you're working at one block at a time, just like a hand appliquer would do their blocks one at a time and then put all the blocks together.
Right. It keeps it manageable.
Yes, exactly. And then today I was doing a little bit of long arm, working on this baby elephant quilt.
Adorable.
So
Mary
like
wants to know.
They think that, well, you know, I love my job. I've been doing it for 21 years, but I wear a lot of hats.
Yes, always. And you're juggling a lot of balls all the time. Like it's hard to keep it all going. Yes. Mary wants to know, do the leaves have extra batting behind them?
No, they don't. No extra batting. And they were actually, the batting that was used on that was just one layer of Quilter's Dream wool. So it kind of gives it that little bit of a loft. But that's all you needed to do with that. Nothing had been trapuntoed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. So do you have a regiment or a schedule where you quilt on your long arm so many hours a day, and then you scoot over and you design?
That sounds like such a great idea. I love that idea.
Yeah, me too. People are always telling me I need to do it. And I'm like, okay, if you only really knew what my life consisted of.
Yeah. And then you get that email. Oh, and can we have this, like, or there's a problem with, and then whatever your schedule is. I find, and I'm sure that you're finding this now too. The technical stuff is really hard for me to add in.
Yes.
You know, like people are like, oh, can't you do a Zoom class? Can't you do, can't you do more videos? Can't you do, that is a whole nother learning curve.
For sure. And before COVID, we didn't have to learn it. We didn't really have to worry about our websites being really great because we're not a catalog kind of a store where people come in because of us. You
Yeah.
know, they
Yeah.
love to spend time with us and they love what we do.
Yeah.
So we didn't really have to be techie. But
Right.
I think that's a gone era. I don't know that it's ever
I
going to
would
come
like
back.
to hire somebody to do that, but then we're not
Good
making
luck.
that much money.
Right, right.
You know, like
And the
this is a
truth is
whole
you
level
can't
of
really
expertise.
find anybody.
No. Yeah.
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 So that's the struggle. I mean, I love teaching and I loved going and teaching and that hands-on and being in the room with quilters. I did do a Zoom workshop, and the people who took it, from a local guild, they loved it. I mean, they love being home. They love being in their own studios.
Yes.
So that's nice. They seem like they get a lot out of it, but I
Mhm.
miss that one-on-one engagement and seeing what they're doing and being able to point out something else that they can try.
Right. Well, and a lot of times you can see something going sideways before it actually gets there when you're in person, where you can't, you don't have that, because they just show it to you. They'll struggle. What I found in a lot of our Zooms is they'll struggle because they don't want to bother you or they don't want to,
interrupt.
Yeah. Or ask a stupid question. But girls, there are no stupid questions.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you've got that question, somebody else in the class also has that question.
Has it. Exactly.
Yeah.
We all learn from each other, for sure.
Right. Right.
Yep.
And a lot of times I think you learn more from the other students in the class than you do from the teacher, just because it's so much knowledge in a room.
Absolutely. And there's those little nuggets. I mean,
Right.
You take a class. I always tell people, take the best nuggets from my class and add it to what you're already doing.
Right.
Like you've already worked out certain things for yourself that work good for you.
Yes,
So
for sure.
add
For sure.
to it.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Because you really are just taking little pieces from everybody you meet and it just blends into your DNA.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. Kathleen says for tech help, she asks her kids or her grandkids. I know it wasn't even my generation. That's the scary thing. Techie stuff. I still have carbon paper in my store. Like we use carbon paper to take in quilts to be quilted.
Yeah.
I know. It's it's a scary thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
My Dorothy says, if you're the smartest person in the room, you need to find another room.
Exactly. You can I never ever feel like I'm the smartest person in the room.
Right.
There's experiences that everybody's got something to contribute. I believe that. Yeah.
Yeah. I learn from everybody, but you have to be open to learning.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And in our jobs, in our positions, wearing all these hats, I mean, it's either keeping me young or killing me young. I don't know which one it is. Is it keeping me young or is it killing me sooner?
Exactly. Yeah. Well, and then it's almost like you don't really ever perfect anything because you're always doing a million different things.
Right.
But it's just the way this industry is, I think.
Yeah. And I like that quilting has so much variety. Like one of the things that has kept me really energized in this industry for so long is the fact that nothing is really not allowed. As far as I'm concerned.
Right.
You want to have good technique and you want that's what holds your pieces up. But there's so many creative ways to work with the thread and the fabric and the techniques. And I just think that everything should be encouraged.
Yes. Yeah. And exploring. And sometimes you're going to make a pelican and it's not going to be perfect and you throw it away and you move on to the next pelican.
Exactly.
You have to keep being adventurous, I think.
Yes. That's how my long arm business. I mean, I quilted for customers for 21 years, and I think that really helped me be such a good long armer because I had to work on quilts that I would never have made.
Yes.
Not because there was anything wrong with that quilt. It wasn't in the back of my mind, or it wasn't on my horizon, or I never came across this. So when you get to see it, now the challenge is to make it the best that you can make it.
Right.
So constantly adapting techniques and ideas really makes us better.
For sure. It pushes us out of our box and it does. It pushes us. I think you always have to be pushing yourself.
Absolutely.
Christy says she thinks you should do a parrot quilt.
A parrot quilt. They're very colorful.
Yes, yes.
I like
and Cindy says this is inspiring her to finish her quail quilt.
Nice.
Cindy missed the first little bit of it. The pelicans are not ready yet. She's still designing it and working on it, but it will be available soon.
We are working on it. I'm working on a lot of seabird. And it's funny because when I made the quail quilt, I have a whole drawer of quails that didn't make the cut.
Oh, wow.
Like that could be like its own quilt.
Right. Well, and I think that's important for people to understand, because we always think that designers just, you just sketch it out and it's perfect the first time. No, there's lots of stuff that goes into the drawer.
Yes, absolutely. You have to work through ideas, because it seems good in your head, and then when you try and make that happen, it doesn't work. So there's a lot of trial and error, and there's a lot of things that don't make it to the final product.
Right.
For sure.
Right. Yep. And Sandy says, what kind of smartphones do you like when you post photos, Apple or Android? I think that's
I only have worked with Apple. I kind of stuck with Apple. Like, once I figured out my Apple phone, that I'm like, okay, I have my iPad and I have my Mac, because as a non-techie person, staying with one has really helped me.
I agree.
I also started using Procreate on my iPad to make my drawing go a little bit quicker, to go from like a sketch to a digital line drawing that I can then send to a printer. So that's been one minor techie thing that I was able to accomplish fairly quickly, because they're very basic line drawings.
Mm-hmm.
So
you just taught yourself that.
I did.
Yeah.
I mean, Procreate is an amazing program. I think it was $10, and you can see amazing artwork that people do with it. But I needed it for simple line drawings, and to get that layering and get the many layers of the line drawings. So just like anything else, you can use it at its basic, or you can go as deep as you want.
Right.
Yeah.
Kathleen says she cannot wait to see the finished pelican and or seabird quilts. The pressure's on now. Good. Yeah, you put it out in the universe. Now you got to finish it.
I know. Now I have to really get going on it, because I'm liking some of the blocks I've come up with. So
right. Yeah. And Mary says, can you print from your iPad?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because my printer is wireless, so now you can print from your phones, from your iPad, just like you can from your computer, because nothing is connected with a wire. It's all wireless, all Bluetooth.
Right. Mary, if you need help next time Devin drops off your packages, tell him to come in and show you how to hook it up.
There you go.
Okay. So right before we went live, you were telling me about circles.
Circles. So this summer, I kind of was trying to figure out how to get my creative ideas going. And I really like working with circles. And I thought about doing a small baby quilt, small design, and how many circles would it take? And it ended up being 94 2.5-inch circles. And then when those circles were done, I was like, well, yeah, there's 94 here. What else can you make? And I kind of started playing with how many different designs can I come up with that use only 94 circles? Just, when you can't sleep at night, these are the things that you think of.
Right.
So this is the pack. Wait.
I know. It's always the opposite direction you think you should go.
Rainbow circles. And this is what they look like.
So they're already cut and pre-fused. So half the messy work, girls, is done for you. All you got to do is just have fun.
Right. And then I started coming up with different design ideas on what I could do with it. So I'm going to send one off to you, Beth.
Okay.
Send you a pack of circles, and I'm going to send you the PDFs of the patterns, and then you can show the ladies some of the things they can make. So I'll show you an example. Like, here's one. This one's called Snail's Trail.
There you go.
94 circles.
So it looks very modern-y.
Yes. Yes. Very, very, very modern. Here's another
Okay.
one that's getting ready to be quilted. Can you see this gray one on the wall?
Yep.
And that one just uses the yellows up to the pinks.
Uh-huh.
And then if you're making a boy quilt, maybe for a baby boy, you could use the blues and the greens.
Okay.
So it was kind of like, what can you come up with? You know,
Right.
do a checkerboard, do a snail's trail, do, all different ideas about what you can do with 2.5-inch circles.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Or
thought,
even if they had like a panel quilt, they could use the circles as a border around it or something fun.
absolutely.
So many
add
options.
them to an existing design.
Yeah.
They're already cut. They're there. So the initial idea ended up, like I said, being 94 fabrics. So then I went on a treasure hunt in my studio, and I had to find 94 1-yard cuts so that they could go to the laser cutter. And they had to be in a perfect rainbow. And believe me, this studio was pulled apart.
I was going to say, that looks so pretty behind you. Did you spend all week since I called you folding all your fabrics nicely,
No.
or does it look like that all the time?
So these are my fat quarters that are behind me. And these are my personal play stash. Okay. That's my personal play stash.
Okay.
This is my closet.
Oh my goodness. It's
Now,
so
this
perfectly
really helps
folded,
me
like you were in the
choose.
military.
See, that helps me choose.
Right.
Because it's color. I always sort my closet by color. Then I know what I'm going to be working on. And then when I'm working on the pelicans right now, and I didn't clean, this is my table.
Wow. Wow, that's like my dream come true.
Kind of a mess. And then these are the bolts that I pulled to play with.
Okay.
So when I'm working on a design like this, I have a lot of scraps going on. And just to kind of play with darks and lights and brights and, see what kind of is going to work. And that's what my stash is for. And then what I'm going to do is I will then work and incorporate a line of fabric since it's not going to be my own line. I'll work on a line so that the shops can then have the pattern and have the kit and do everything in one piece.
Perfect. Because I have a lot of customers who love to use fabric from their stash, but I have even more customers who love it all thought out, and they already know that your sample looks perfect because that's what they fell in love with, and then they want theirs to look exactly like that.
Yep. And that's what Mary found out. Like when Mary had the shop, we were making samples out of what she had for fabric. And people kept saying, well, where's the pattern? And we're like, well, that was just an idea.
No.
And they're like, well, we need the directions now. And then we were like, well, now we have to write the pattern. So then it kind of, that's where the pattern company started. People wanted the patterns of the samples that we were designing. We thought we were just going to be selling the fabric. And they were like, no. So that's kind of what happened with the circles. I'm like, I'm going to come up with all these ideas and people are going to be like, oh, but I like this one. Oh, or I like that one.
Right.
Even though I want them to take them and add them to something they have. Like you said, put it on a border.
Right.
Make it into a baby quilt. Like use your own creativity. Play with these circles. They're fused. Iron them on. Play with it. If that doesn't work, try it again. Like that's how creativity is growth. That's growth. That's how you grow your ability to design, is to keep playing.
Right. And I think that is really hard for a lot of people because, we kind of feel like we got to color inside the lines. We got to do what we're told. We can't, we just need a pattern for everything because we don't want to make a mistake. And, but really, once you learn all the techniques, patterns to me are just for inspiration. You kind of start with the pattern and then you just see where it takes you.
Right. Exactly. And also, like we're not all the same. We're not all designers.
Right.
For some people, following that pattern and enjoying that pattern and not having to think about all those pieces allows them to enjoy the process of sewing.
Yes.
So it's different for everybody. you know,
Very true.
and
Very true. Yeah.
and when I teach, the reason I always say to people, I don't know what works for you, or what would you like to do? You're right. It's scary because we're taught to follow, follow, follow.
Right.
So if
Right.
you're looking to work outside the box a little bit, I always encourage it.
For sure. Always add your own
Yeah.
little flavor. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, and I think it's easy for me to say that because I can't follow a pattern if my life depended on it. So every pattern that I do as a shop sample, I always have to put Fabric Chicks addendum into it because I screwed something up at some point. Yeah.
I think maybe
Dorothy,
that was me too. I always was a little, I'm a little ADD, so I kind of get ahead of myself sometimes. I'm like, oh, wait, I didn't read that part.
Right. I just assume. Oh, yeah.
Improvise.
Yes.
Now I have to improvise. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Dorothy says she's glad she's not the only one who does creative planning while she's supposed to be sleeping. And Rebecca says clamshell quilts can be made from circles. Yeah. And Mary is amazed that there is no mess in your studio. Cindy says so precise and neat.
My closet is nice and neat, but my work table is usually a mess, which is good. That's the creative spot.
Yes. Yeah. I'm just going to go with the more messy it is, the more creative you are, because my shop, like, I have no time to get on top of it. So I'm like on to the next project before I have time to clean up. But I will tell you, it's not the way to live. You'll go crazy. Clean up, girls, clean up.
I clean up, like, sometimes I can't start creating in a space if it's messy. So sometimes I'll clean for a day. Yeah. And while I'm cleaning, I kind of let the other stuff percolate. But once I'm in it, like now that I'm working with these birds, I'm going to have scraps of fabric, fusible, and freezer paper everywhere for the next couple of weeks for sure. Right.
Yeah. Well, then we could all relate because that's kind of how I mean, it does take a little bit of mess to be creative.
It does. Yep.
Kathleen says she can only be organized in her dreams. And Kathleen, don't worry. I have the solstice pattern. I'll throw it in your basket. So if you girls want the solstice pattern, the orchard pattern, the bliss pattern, or gathering, just type it into the notes and I will put them into your baskets and ship them with your Friday sale stuff. And whatever else you guys find, let me know and we can get it from Barb, or you can order it directly from Barb. She does. What's your website again?
BarbPersing.com.
Perfect.
Yep.
Perfect.
Yep.
And Sandy says,
I'm going to send Beth some of those circles and I'll send you some shots, Beth. And then if the girls want to order from you, you can show them, you can post it and they can see what they are.
Perfect. And maybe we'll have like a Saturday fun day with circles or something.
That would be fun.
Yes.
Yeah. I need to come out there and do a Saturday fun day because you guys have embraced my quails so much. I feel like I just need to come and spend a weekend there.
Yes. Well, I haven't quite gotten the courage to do retreats again.
Yep.
Just because it's so iffy and questionable and
still too early.
I think so. Yeah. But you definitely are on my list to come do a retreat with us. I think that it would be so much fun. Yes.
I would love that.
Okay, let's see. I think we answered those. Love your encouragement to design. Thanks for confidence boost. And then Dorothy says, you didn't clean and it looks that clean. You don't even want to see my studio right now with multiple projects going on. I know, girls. I don't think I don't know that Barb could really relate to our craziness. But someday I do wish to be a lot more organized.
Sometimes being unorganized I think you have to be a little unorganized when you're in the middle of that designing, you know? Right. But if you get too unorganized, then you can't find the things that might have went really well into that project.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Do you want to span around? Because I know the girls are all nosy. Do you want to span your phone or your iPad around so they can see what your studio looks like and all the quilts that are hanging up? So did you have this room added? Did you have this room? Okay. Did you have this room? sorry.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Did you have this room added onto your house, or was it already there?
So we added the whole second floor
Okay.
to my house because I used to have a little teeny tiny sewing room, and I used to have my long arm on the back porch. So we've added a second floor. So when my customers come in, I wanted them to be able to come into my studio area, and kind of at the time my boys were younger, so I didn't want to have to clean up toys in order for customers to come in.
Right.
So I'm going to show you. I'll show you the whole thing. So
okay. Wait. The girls want me to make you big. Okay.
These are the doors where people come in.
Uh-huh.
And when they come in my studio, this door, what they see are my fabrics that are over here. So this is like the landing area. This is where I make it look pretty and neat. This is my desk. Look, girls, there's a mess on my desk. Okay. There's a mess. Those piles of papers have been there forever. And then as you come in here, you come into my studio. This is the doorway. This is my cutting table.
Okay, that looks a little bit more messy. I like it.
Okay.
I can feel at home there.
This is my long arm. And underneath my long arm are all of my bins of projects that need to be quilted.
Oh, gosh.
So the whole length of my long arm are bins.
And they're already pieced, just waiting to be quilted?
They are customer quilts as well as my own quilts.
Oh, goodness. Wow. Wow.
So I usually have, okay, so at one point I had 6 months worth of customer quilts waiting for me.
Uh-huh.
Now I've said no to all of my customers for the next 6 months. And this is where I piece. So that's my design wall, the end of my studio, and this is my Bernina.
I love it. That's like a dream come true studio there.
I could be here and never have to leave.
Right.
Truly, it is a dream studio. I'm very, very lucky to have it. And I worked in a very, very small, uncompromising space for many years before we decided to put the second floor on. So for my business, it's been huge. I mean, like I said, for 20 years, I've had quilts on my long arm every day for customers.
Right.
So,
right.
So now I'm trying to get back to maybe having a year of just designing.
How fun. Because it is a lot of pressure long arming for customers.
It is. I was always squeezing design work in between. And of those bins that I showed you, those first 4 bins, they're some of my tops that I made 15 years ago.
I know. I know. I've got those.
Yeah.
It's kind of a set.
Yeah.
Usually, so like, because you have customer quilts all the way up till Christmas.
Yep.
But like 2 or 3 days before Christmas, everything's done. You can finally breathe. And so I think, I'm going to go in and I'm just going to quilt one of those quilts that are like one of the ones that I made because I wanted to make it. Yeah, that hasn't happened in years.
No. And I think because COVID made me realize that I'm never going to get to them if I don't finally prioritize them.
Exactly. Yes.
So this coming year, I am going to work on personal projects.
Nice.
In between designing patterns.
Right.
And not doing any customer long arming. And then I'll see.
Yeah. I think that you do have to kind of set that boundary because otherwise you never get caught up. You never get done. You never, never. You're a rat on a treadmill. Like you just can't keep up with it. Yeah.
Yeah. You never, that would never be done. I mean, and it took me 9 months to finally get to the end of those.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I have some customers who I had for a long time. And of course I said to them, well, if something comes up and you need something.
Right.
I'm the kind of person who can never fully close a door on somebody who's been good to me.
Right.
But
Mm-hmm.
I am not scheduling. I'm not taking calls. I'm not taking new customers. I'm not really scheduling anything.
Right.
So that took a while to learn how to say no to people.
Yeah. But I think that will just open it up so that you will free your brain so you can create and design more.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you just always know, okay, I should be getting that quilt out because that's money right now.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. And you're right. That is a very clear treadmill.
Yes. She said, Phyllis says her whole condo could fit into your studio.
Well, we all work towards downsizing. You know what I mean? So
right.
I'm almost at the point in my life where my husband and I are like, okay, when are we going to retire and get rid of, I said to him, the extra bedrooms, but never my studio.
Right. Yeah. So your studio's on the second floor and customers have to come up the stairs to talk to you.
Yeah.
And what a wonderful space to work. Rosie says she needs to get organized. I know, Rosie, story of our lives.
It's a process.
Yeah. Need storage room to have things organized and accessible. Only room for so many bins. True story. Right. That's true. But at some point, you might just need to purge. And I'm the worst person at this because I grew up in a hoarder house. So I, therefore, am a hoarder child. And I can't throw away anything. But at some point, you got to purge. Otherwise, it's weighing you down. It's fabrics.
Yes.
It's fabrics you don't even like anymore. So don't feel guilty. Donate them and move on to stuff that time is so precious that you want to work with stuff you really love.
Don't do projects just because you have it. You're right. That ship may have sailed.
Yes.
And have a friend come and do it with you. Like my sister, who was my partner in the company. Mm-hmm. We go to each other's studios and we'll go for the weekend and she'll come here and she'll be like, all right, whatever you want to do. Mm-hmm. Last time she was here, we emptied that closet.
Nice.
And I said, the only thing going back in there are things that I actually want to work with.
Right.
And I donated bags and bags of fabric to my local guild because, all right, there are people who need to make charity quilts.
Right.
Here it is. This is great fabric. Some of that fabric came to me via a fabric company. Mm-hmm. I want to pass it on. Let someone else put it to good use who's going to love it. I didn't throw it away, but it needed to leave my studio. You have to look at projects that are halfway done and say, I learned something from that project that I needed to learn, and now I'm ready to let it go, and I'm going to donate that. And you got something from that, and you're giving something to someone else.
Yes. Yeah. So true. Yeah. Out with the old, in with the new. I know. I think that's what we should make a pack for 2022. So you guys got 1 month to clean up and organize.
Nice.
And start.
Get rid of the stuff that's holding you back.
Yes.
It's holding you back.
Yeah. Yes. Phyllis says that's what she did when she downsized 10 plus bins. She worked in a quilt shop for 2 years. I know. That's kind of a downfall working in a quilt shop because you take home a little bit of everything.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep. There's a lot of stuff to love.
Right. All right. So let's see. What else do we have anything else? Girls, do you have anything else that you want to ask? I don't know. I think we've kind of kept up with them. Great advice. All right. Let's see. I always think of good questions in the middle of the night and I should roll over and write them down. Yeah.
I think we covered it. I think if they have any more questions or if they think about this, come back, we'll revisit it.
Perfect. Yeah. And when do you think we can look forward to the Pelican? Because I know Cindy's going to be asking me.
Well, that's going to definitely be a couple months. This is a really, really early first peek that you're getting.
Okay.
So finish up your quails, do your solstice and your orchard.
Right.
And we'll be getting these seabirds out to you guys.
Okay, perfect. And do you prefer to use batiks?
I do. As a designer, I fell in love with batiks first.
Mm-hmm.
The brightness of them really spoke to me. After I got, everyone starts out with something, and I did a lot of florals and really soft stuff. But then when I found batiks, I like the color of them. But Calf Facet has great colors.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anything that is bright. Now, if you're going to do the raw edge applique technique that I used in Solstice and the Orchard, that really needs batiks. And that needs batiks because they have such a high density of thread count that when
Mm-hmm.
you're doing that raw edge sewing, you don't get any eyelashing. And that really is because of the thread count of the batik.
Right.
When you're doing a fusible and you're doing the blanket stitch, like the quails, it probably wouldn't have mattered if it was a batik or a print cotton. But when
Mm-hmm.
you're doing something that you really are looking for that stabilization and that raw edge, I think batiks make a huge difference.
Right. Your life will be a lot easier. You can use
Yes.
anything, but
Yes.
it will make it. Yeah,
Yes.
I totally
Yep.
agree. Yeah.
Yep.
I love batiks too. I'm trying to learn to love small prints for collage, but batiks are my first love.
Yeah.
Color gradations are dreamy. True. Very true. Very true.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So girls, Mary wants to know when we're gonna be on again. And 2:00 today, Cyber Monday on Wild Wednesday Live. So Facebook page Wild Wednesday Live. We have like 10 different vendors that are gonna have super good
Nice.
specials. I know it should be kind of crazy. Chaos is
Nice.
like our middle names. They said good to know about the batiks. I know, sometimes I just think that we just take all this information for granted because we just assume everybody knows that batiks are a higher thread count. And
Right.
but it's always good to be reminded because who knows what little information you might have heard one time, but it's kind of fallen somewhere and needs to be refreshed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. The ladies loved it.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you. And we will definitely work on the circle fun. And girls, we will see you at 2:00. Have a great hour or two. Go get lunch. Bye.
Have a great day, Beth. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.